What is impressive about your cinema, watching your films here, is that how ahead of their time they must have been in the 70s, because they still seem ahead of their time now. I don't think anybody has catch up with you.
That's great, but I wish some of the critics had caught up with me sooner. You know, it's funny because the French knew it right away, you know, and they got onto it. But then they were always talking to the American critics that gave me bad reviews. And about 15 years after after the film was out, I went to a brunch, and there was a critic there that gave me a pretty bad review. And I'd never met him before, and I was introduced to him. He says, Jerry Schatzberg, Puzzle of a Downfall Child, great film. And he gave me such a bad review, and I said, is that the same guy that, but you know, if people can change over time too, that's good too. And I think critics just want to see what they've seen before and judge that against what they're seeing. And this, I think, was a little bit of a problem there.
And it's amazing that it was your first film. One would have thought that is the kind of film one ends up doing after, you know, 20, 30 years of learning the trade.
Yeah, but you know, I had a fantastic writer, Carol Eastman. She did 5 Easy Pieces, and what did she do for? It took her 10 months to write that script, and we'd have these incredible meetings out in California. We'd go to dinner and spend 6 hours talking about it. And I also had 3.5 hours of tape of the original person that the film is about.
Which is a model, Anne Marie?
Yeah, Anne St. Marie. And if you hear the tapes, and my friend Lindsay here, I had the tape on my, I could probably even play a little bit of it.
Do you mind? That would be great.
And you see her speech pattern and everything, and Faye Dunaway was able to meet her and pick up on things like that. Yeah.
I know I am not perfect.
That world is such a fantasy world, so if you go into fantasy and back, and you don't always remember everything, and it, you know, I found it's probably even worse now. Because the young models, they start off when they're 15, 16, 17, and they finish when they're 22 or 21. And then what do they do for the rest of their life? Because they've been treated like royalty, traveled all over the world, and they get a job as a secretary somewhere, you know.
Well, that's another thing about your films in general, that you're very sympathetic with your characters. I mean, you seem to be very sensitive to the outcasts, to those that have been rejected, that are in the margins of society.
Yeah, marginal people. Yeah, well, I think we're all marginal people in some way, and we all have to fight our demons. You know, I have one project that a French actress brought to me about being adopted. So if you, in other words, they've been abandoned and then adopted. And that's so traumatic to them, and they go all through life with that. And I had a girlfriend who had that, and it just, she couldn't straighten out her life because she always felt she was going to be abandoned again. And then if you think of Steve Jobs, who was abandoned, and look what he did because they really want to prove to somebody.
Enormous odds. What a dream this is. What I wanted, and how I hate it. Can you explain?
So this is obviously your favorite film,
yeah,
right?
Well, because my first, you know, you always have a certain feeling for it, and it was sort of a world that I was in for 12, 13 years, and I knew Anne wasn't the only person that was subject to the societal rules to say, you know, once you get older, they don't want you anymore. There were many, and they become alcoholics. I knew one that became a bag lady, you know. So it touched me because these people were brilliant at what they did. And anything I would want to say in one image, she was able to do for me.
Wow.
And I would save all my bad clothes for her because she'd make them look great. She just had this talent, you know. So. A film like Easy Rider changed them making big films, and they all tried to make little films, and they all made the wrong films, so they didn't all make money, you know. But we were allowed to make intimate little films for a period of time, and then Jaws came along, and Star Wars, and they were blockbuster films. And then every studio wanted to make blockbusters, and then it just continued that way. And now you have to make Spider-Man, Iron Man, Superman, you know, something that will make lots of money. I can't blame them because they're in business. And if they invest a lot of money, they want to get back a lot of money. But there is a place for, it's tough, it's not easy. There is a place for smaller films, and I talk to all my friends, you know, I talk to Barbie, I talk to everybody that wants to make small, intimate films, and you have to really work at it, and it takes years, but if you stay with it, I'm getting close now to a film, which I'm very happy about. Yeah, so, and you just got to keep at it, you know.